All right, man. Russell Westbrook has always been one of the most polarizing players in the league, but now with him joining the Lakers, it's to a whole new degree. Now, quick disclaimer. If you are a Russell Westbrook stan in any way, please just click off the video. You're not going to like me. You're going to unsubscribe. You're going to call me a hater. You're probably going to send me a DM on Twitter. Like, you're just not going to like me. So I'm advising you to not watch it in advance. Right now, if you simply look at the numbers, it would lead you to believe that Russell Westbrook has been playing great when that's simply not the case. Now, what inspired this video is Russell Westbrook's recent comments after that 9-turnover game against the Timberwolves where he had 7 turnovers in the first half. And he pretty much said, I'm allowed to miss shots. I'm allowed to have turnovers and things like that. I can affect the game in different ways. That statement alone is just so goddamn delusional. And I hate when he says that, because he went on to name ways that I think he thinks he quote unquote affects the game positively outside of his turnovers and missing a bunch of shots. And to me, it's the direct opposite. Like, for example, he named rebounding and boxing out. I'm not saying all his boards are stat chasing boards or anything like that. But a lot of times, Russell Westbrook gets caught actually quitting on the defensive play and trying to chase that board, lingering around the rim, leaving his player wide open on the perimeter, like he did against Patty Mills, like he did against Orlando, where LeBron was pretty much looking at him like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Also, he named making the right plays. He literally said making the right plays. In what way is averaging 5 turnovers and having 7 turnovers in a half and 9 in the game or making the right play? It's the direct opposite. Now, F all the BS. Let's get into the good and the bad of Russell Westbrook. I'm going to detail some of the good things I think he contributed to the Lakers so far, and definitely the bad. Let's start with the good. Russell Westbrook, if anything else, he's going to generate some damn points, and he's always going to get his teammates pretty solid looks at open threes. It's just the nature of how he plays. Even at this later stage of his career, just how ferocious he is at attacking the basket, it's naturally going to take those wing defenders' attention off of his teammates and onto him, which inevitably gives them open looks. Carmelo Anthony, he's thrived off of that attention. Austin Reeves, he hit a game winner. Wayne Ellington, he's gotten a lot of open looks. That's one thing that Russell Westbrook is going to do. Whether it's efficient, whether it comes with 4 or 5 turnovers per game with it, that's just one thing that he's always done. Also, even though it's an extremely small sample size, Russell Westbrook has actually been a pretty solid corner 3-point shooter. It may sound very, very specific, and it may sound like I'm reaching, but we all did question how the hell is this floor spacing going to look with LeBron James, who we thought was not the greatest 3-point shooter. That stuff has changed this year. Anthony Davis, who hasn't been a great 3-point shooter, and Russell Westbrook, who's a terrible 3-point shooter, and him actually being able to stretch the floor from that spot on the court, that's been a positive to that team. I can't lie. So that's a good thing for Russell Westbrook. And lastly, Russell Westbrook has played every single game this season. It may sound like a perfect attendance award or something like that, but if it was one thing that I knew about this season that could not happen, Russell Westbrook couldn't miss games. Out of everybody on this team, he was the biggest misfit, and I felt like he needed the most reps and the most time out there to actually develop his own role, because nobody knew what the hell his role is. We still don't. So him actually being there every single night and actually trying to figure it out and being there to figure it out, that's a positive, and I don't take that for granted. He's been able to dodge protocols. He hasn't got injured, and again, that's a very good thing for Russell Westbrook. Now on to the negatives, and before I get into the negatives, let me set the tone, because I feel like some people are going to say, bro, you didn't even name those triple doubles. What about all these stats? He's averaging damn near triple, all this. Nobody cares about that. So before I get into the negatives, let me ask this one simple question, and I'm going to answer it because nobody's here to answer it for me. What was Russell Westbrook brought to the Lakers for? Simple question, and I have a simple answer for it. He was brought to the Lakers to make LeBron's job easier. I think it's just that simple. We don't have to get into the complications of how, why, all that. He was brought there to make LeBron's job easier. Simple. I'm going to grade him by that standard and by that scale. I'm not going to grade him for being an upgrade over Rondo or Dennis Schroeder or something like that. I'm going to grade him by that contract that he's making right now, those accolades he has, that MVP he has, and most importantly, what he was brought there for, to make LeBron's job easier and help them win the championship. This year, Russell Westbrook started out his season pretty rough. He hit 15 out of his first 43 shots, which indeed hurts the team whether he believes it or not, and he was turning the ball over at an extremely high clip. Now, Russell Westbrook kind of gave me a little sense of hope, the fourth game of the season where LeBron was out. And to me, this was the perfect game for Russell Westbrook. Like I said, I felt like he was brought there to make LeBron's job easier when LeBron has to miss games due to age and stuff like that. And when Anthony Davis has to miss games due to him just being fragile as hell. Like, that's going to happen. And Russell Westbrook, he was there. That fourth game of the season, no LeBron. He had his breakout game. And to me, that's where I was starting to believe, okay, now I can kind of see why Russell Westbrook was brought here. But then the following game happened. And to me, this was another game that, in my opinion, just had Russell Westbrook's name on it. Like, okay, they playing OKC, his old stomping grounds in OKC. He's back at home. OKC is showing him love. It's not like he's Kevin Durant where he gets booed. They love him there. And he's playing a pretty bad team that's winless at the time. They actually get out to a 20-point lead, blow the 20-point lead. Russell Westbrook has a triple-double, but he also has 10 turnovers and 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Stuff like that just can't happen. Then literally 1 week later, they see OKC again get out to another lead without LeBron James again, and they still somehow lose that game, giving them their second win. OKC, they got their first 2 wins of this season after losing by 14 points per game to everybody else. They got their first 2 wins against a Lakers team that has like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on it. Stuff like that, like I said, is just embarrassing. Now, that second OKC loss, that actually started a 8-game stretch of games that they played without LeBron James. He was going through that abdominal stuff, and he still had his ankle. Like, he was going through a bunch of stuff at the time, and that was 8 straight games that they played without LeBron James. In those 8 games, they went 3-5, and 3 of those 5 losses came against teams, or were against teams below 500 right now, so they weren't the best teams anyway. Now, I'm not saying it was all Russell Westbrook's fault, but a lot of it was. Like, let me just detail some of the stuff he did without LeBron James. In that that second game against Portland, he shot 1 for 13 with 6 turnovers. Then the following game, they actually won it, but he shot 5 for 15 with 7 turnovers. In that 8-game stretch where they went 3-5, 5 of those games, Russell Westbrook had 5 or more turnovers. And I don't care what anybody says, that hurts your team. This season, the Lakers give up the 6th most points per game off of turnovers. Who do you think most of those turnovers are from? It's from Russell Westbrook. Right now, the Lakers lead the league in possessions. That's not a good stat. That basically means they always turn it over, so they always get the ball right back and have ample opportunities. This year, Russell Westbrook has 17 games with 5 or more turnovers. That's damn near half the games. And when you really look at it, it's at like an abnormal rate. Like, he's actually having his 3rd lowest usage rate percentage of his career, meaning he has the ball in his hands, the 3rd lowest that he's actually had it in his whole career. Yet, even with that being the case, he's still on pace to have his 2nd worst season of all time with turnovers. So he's still turning the ball over at a crazy clip with the ball less in his hands. Also this year, his finishing around the rim, it's been pretty awful. Like, it's been better as of late, but it's still pretty bad, and it's just not good enough. Russell Westbrook is shooting 56% this year on dunks. That's an extremely high percentage shot. Last year, just for comparison, he shot 75%. His MVP year, just for comparison, he shot close to 80%. That LeBron hasn't missed 1 dunk all year, and I don't really want to compare that, but I'm just showing you that's a high percentage ass shot, even for a guy like Russell Westbrook, and right now he's damn near making half of them. Also, a lot of his inefficiencies, even at the rim, they've come at the most inopportune times. Like, this man has missed 24 shots at the rim in the fourth quarter. When you need him most, he's missed 24 of those. Also, he's missed half of his dunks in the fourth quarter. Also, and like I said, bro, this is just directly hurting the team. I'm sorry. The Lakers are a awful, and I mean awful, free throw shooting team. Like, right now, I think they're like the 28th ranked free throw shooting team right now. A lot of that comes from your point guard playing the type of minutes that he does, 35 minutes per night, being their 13th best free throw shooter on their team. That just can't happen. You can't have Russell Westbrook shooting 65% from the free throw line. Like, if he's not going to finish at the rim and he's missing his free throws, that's a lot of missed opportunities to score any type of points. Right now, the Lakers are losing by 1 point per night. 1 point a night. Do you know how different that would be if they can just hit a damn free throw? So yeah, all the stuff I named, I believe directly hurts their team, and that's why I named it. I could have gone into his defense and stuff like that, and some of the defensive laps they've had with Russell Westbrook watching the ball instead of watching the play and kind of being like an individual player instead of a team defender. But I really feel like collectively as a team, they're terrible on defense. So I didn't want to hone in on Russell Westbrook specifically, even though he has been, in my opinion, bad as well. But the stuff that I did name, the turnovers, that's directly hurting the team. They're the 26th ranked team as far as opponent points per game off of turnovers. The missed shots at the rim, that's pretty bad, like I said. And the missed free throws, that's hurting their team. So I had to name those. If you guys like this video, if you guys like this style of video, make sure you guys like the video and comment that you actually made it this far and stuff like that. It just lets me know that, like I said, like I always say, you a real one. I'm gonna start making these style of videos where I kind of just freestyle it and, you know, just have more fun with the videos, man. I just want to give you guys my every single day thoughts and opinions, and that's what I'm gonna do going forward, you know, with this new year and all that. Like I said, if you a Russell Westbrook fan, I know you hate me, you know what I'm saying? I know you hate me, but it's just the facts, bro. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything for anybody. Make sure you guys follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.